Hey, what's up everybody? BroTrio here, and as we mentioned in our 2021 Game of the Year video, we actually didn't play that many 2021 games, but in the games we did play, we had some great boss experiences. This is one of our favorite lists to do annually. We go back and look at all the best bosses from that year, and so let me preface this. 2021, we didn't play that many games, so we're double dipping on bosses for 3 games, but there's no more than 2 entries from one game. Yeah, we're double dipping a little bit, but some of these bosses were too good not to, it's hard to just pick one. So that's why we're double dipping, but we're going to go on and get on with the top 10 bosses of 2021.
We're starting this list off with an oldie but a goodie because Dead Cells is back.
They won't stop releasing content. It's been on like almost every one of our boss lists since it came out.
Yeah, we won't let him have it on Game of the Year list because it's an older game, but it's a new boss. So he found his damn loophole to talk about Dead Cells again.
So, brand new boss. The Fatal Falls brought in the Scarecrow. And he's a pretty formidable boss. He's got a lot of wide range attacks that cover pretty much the whole area. Like, first he just comes at you with a scythe because he's like a gardener. And basically you just interrupt his gardening and he attacks you.
Valid.
So he's attacking you with a scythe. You dodge that. Sometimes he'll pull out a shovel and swing it. But then, after you hit him a few times, he starts getting mad, as you should. And then he starts throwing seeds around and growing mushrooms that you bounce on. So he's like dynamically changing the landscape while you're fighting him. So you're all springing around trying to fight him while you're also trying not to get hit. Sometimes he'll just hop up, pull out a watering can, and sprinkle poison all over the place.
It's not a very good watering can.
The scariest one, and it doesn't look that hard to dodge, but it was very hard for me. It was when he pulls out 2 like sickles and just throws them in a big like figure 8 pattern. Covers the entire boss room. And you can get under him to dodge that, but you don't want to be under him because he's about to do something else after that. And like any Dead Cells, you just have to persevere, get good, and eventually you take him down, and then you get to wear his sweet hat as a costume.
I don't remember any of that from any of the Batman movies.
If there's one occupation you don't expect to have as a boss fight, it would be an artist. There's been a few, like I remember there was an artist character in Kirby that would draw and then you had to fight her drawings and stuff, but generally speaking, doesn't show up a whole lot. Foley in Bravely Default 2 is quite the artist because she is terrifying.
Yeah, from gardener to artist, we're starting off this list with 2 weird boss occupations. But the artist in Bravely Default 2 is, it's a great boss fight, which we'll talk about that more on in a bit, but the build-up to it is one of the main reasons she is on this list.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
The whole chapter, you're leading up to this fight, and it's weird because you're solving like a mystery, which is like...
Oh yeah, because she's been like mind controlling these scientists to make her blue paint, and what's the other color? Yellow that she had.
Yellow. She like
she
killed a bunch of trees or something.
Yeah, and then she has this red paint that's like her secret weapon. And as you're going through the cave to go fight her, you find out what that weapon is made of.
It's people.
It's entirely made of people.
And not only that, to get the wizards to make this special ass blue paint for some dumb reason, she has to not only mind control them, but get them into like a point of like despair, so they're literally feeling blue. And to do that, she just murders their daughter, and then mind controls them to make paint.
It's worse than that. She murders their daughter, then pretends to be her.
Oh yeah, that's true.
To drive them more into despair, because she's like talking to them through like dolls and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm your daughter's ghost. Help me, please.
My God, why didn't she just go to Hobby Lobby? What the?
Right. Because she didn't have to do all this either. She could have just made people into paint.
Oh my God.
She's just a twisted psychopath.
her boss fight is interesting because the artist is a very interesting job. And her Asterisk allows her to do a bunch of paint-based attacks, which has a new status effect called Daubing, which basically makes you weak to every single element and weapon type in the game. It's amazing. So she daubs you, and throughout the entire chapter, every boss fight you have has like this ghostly like paint apparition accompanying them, and they're all there with the artist in this fight.
Oh yeah, she's got minions too.
So she's doing like debuff magic, and then they're like whipping your ass, and it is one of the better like skill ceilings in the early game of Bravely Default 2. Like, it was an amazing fight, an amazing job, and just one hell of a build-up for a game that looks like Precious Moments. We're going to keep on the Bravely Default train for this next one with Edna, the Dark Fairy Boss. This is the final boss-ish of Chapter 5, which is the finale, and then you go all Bravely Default and go into, like, the epilogue, which is the real finale, and fight the Knight's Nexus and stuff, which that's still a hard fight. But Edna is a better fight and a harder fight because she does not pull any punches whatsoever, and she pulls out every single weapon in the Bravely Default arsenal to stop you and your team, to revive the Knight's Nexus, to cause like eternal darkness and basically wipe out all of humanity. Because the fairies don't like people, that's why they stay hidden. And then she's a dark fairy, so she's just like, F them, we're gonna kill them. Yeah. That's the one way, so I don't have to hide in this toadstool anymore.
Yeah, and like I haven't actually beat her yet. I'm stuck. I have to go back and do some grinding to be able to beat her.
It took me so long.
Can't you just use a steel type?
No.
No, you get her halfway, and then she's just like, hey, guess what? All status effects.
Yes, so I had to write a list for this video because it is so much going on. So she has multiple attacks that counter anytime you do something. So you heal, she counters by hitting you with something.
All counters
what
too.
in the hell?
You hit her, she counters you. You cast a buff on yourself, she counters that. You cast a debuff on her, she counters literally. Or pretty much everything. I don't know if it's like literally, but it seems like it.
The only thing I don't know if she counters is offensive magic. But even then, I think she counters it if it hits her like more than once or something.
So she's got a bunch of attacks. She removes all buffs, and anything I read, it hits your entire party. So get ready for that.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah. Removes all buffs, casts slow on the whole party, casts self-haste on herself, cast silence on the entire party, cast apoplexy on the entire party, which is similar to daubing, which we mentioned earlier, reduces all your resistances. On top of that, they're also like a wind attack that sets like these vortexes around you that does like multiple turns damage. She casts Ultra Flare, which is literally an Ultra Flare, like the biggest, strongest magic attack in the entire game. Yeah. And pretty much, you just gotta stay on your shit and keep healing, keep attacking, and just try to prolong your existence through this melee, like, hurricane of counters until you finally defeat Edna.
Oh yeah, like you need your items on point to try to counteract some of that.
Does she counter your item use?
At least somebody has to be a, what is it, alchemist?
Alchemist helps out a lot. Spirit Farer or Spirit Dancer,
that one's good.
Whatever, the Holy Priest that automatically casts regen and stuff. I had to have 2 of those. So I had 2 regens, 2 magic regens, constant taking away the debuffs and everything. And that still was hard. Like, Edna was a great and amazing JRPG boss that really put literally all of my JRPG knowledge from my entire life to the test. So moving on from that boss fight that required so much mental energy and note-taking to one that's a lot more laid back with Ratchet Clank Rift Apart's boss fight when you fight Doctor and Emperor Nefarious at once. This was one of the best boss fights of the game. It starts out and it's kind of like a Sonic Adventures like rail grinding section, and you gotta swap between rails while you're chasing both Nefariouses. and they're attacking you the whole time, making this cool like cinematic like grind section for you. And then once you get done with that, you finally fight them, and then they're just doing all this like crazy rift dimension bullshit. And then like Emperor Nefarious turns on Dr. Nefarious because he's the superior one, and then like he gets in a big ass mech, and you gotta run through the city to get to him to fight him again. And then you take out his big ass mech, and then you fight actual Dr. Nefarious by his lonesome, and it's one of the better fights too. I'm counting all of this as the same thing because it's one big chunk that really is non-stop action. Like it just keeps going. So it's all of this entry.
Jeez, that's
and
nuts.
There's so much cool like rift dimension bullshit happening. Like he may as well have like the Rhino on his side because like what he's doing is basically the same. That is why Ratchet Clank with Dr. Nefarious gets put on here, because it's just one of the best like situations of the year that takes everything that's happened in the game and like condenses it into one boss battle that really just like gives you not only a great boss fight but a good like walk through memory lane of the entire game.
One of the cutest little games we got this year was Ahrietta of Spirits. Like, it was kind of a Zelda-like with really big and interesting bosses. Like, the Wasp Queen was cool. The best boss was the Cloaked Roamer. Because through this whole game, you're fighting these roamers, which are like bad ghosts, I guess. I don't know, they feed on like negative energy and stuff. But the Cloaked Roamer, you show up in this enclosed woodland area, and it's like, what's going on? Something's weird about this place. And then it starts attacking you. And it's invisible. Took me completely by surprise. I was waiting, because the one you fought before that, it comes barging through, like throwing trees out of the way and stuff. And then this one just like sneaks up on you. It's invisible. At that point you have a ghost sword attack and a ghost shield attack.
Ooh.
So you're pulling up she snaps and pulls up like a shield bubble. So that's how you block its fire attacks, and then you have to hit it with the ghost sword to hurt it, because your regular sword doesn't hurt ghosts. And during this whole fight, it's switching between being invisible and visible. When it's visible is when it's attacking you, but then it'll go invisible and just like move around, and you have to look for the subtle cues, like you'll see like the leaves on the ground crinkling, or it's got a reflection if you're in the water.
That's so cool.
And that was one of the coolest
you see
things.
The little puddles, and you can actually, in the reflection, you can see the ghost, but in the real world, you can't. And it was really cool seeing it like sneak up on you, and it was such a really cool touch, especially for like a pixel game. That was a lot of work put into that fight.
You know the Bro Trio is not going to get through a top 10 bosses list when a Metroid game came out without a boss from Metroid on it. So we're going to start that part off. Coming in with the top 5, we've got Experiment Z241. Now, he looks like Clavicle, or whoever you fought at the beginning. The blue one.
Not Clavicle.
It's Clavicle. But the blue one you fight at the beginning that you get the invisibility from. So they're experimenting on this thing, and that was the coolest part. You're just walking through, you see it getting zapped on, you're like, well, I'm going to have to fight that later. I thought you were just going to have to fight Clavicle again. But no, it comes out and it's all black now because of X-Parasites and experiments, presumably. But before it comes out, you walk through the room where it was, not friggin' there anymore. Predictable, still scary and cool. And then it pops out, and it gave us one of the best boss fights in that game. Because, he's shooting everything at you. He straight up was shooting like beams at you that's like, well, I have to jump twice to get over that one kind of thing.
It turns it from Super Metroid style into Super Meat Boy. Like, you just gotta platform and dodge everything.
Yeah, it was a platforming boss fight, which is oddly enough rare in a Metroid game where you have to worry about you have to worry about your jumps, but like specifically timed jumps like that.
Yeah, like you have a little bit of that sometimes with Kraid where you have to like jump on his belly missiles, but he's also blowing like a gust of wind, so you're going towards these spikes and you have to jump over these things, and
it was really tough. He's also got a few attacks where he just like slashes everywhere, and if you're not in the right spot at the right time, like I mean that sounds stupid to say it that way, but like you have to jump a certain way. You can't just space jump over it like you do with a lot of bosses. You have to like space jump in the right way. It was really fun to dodge, and this whole time you're supposed to be shooting him.
Yeah,
because
he never really stops.
He never stops
to shoot him.
He never stops moving. Occasionally you can counter him, and if you pull it off, he Samus grabs onto his face and he freaks out, starts running all over this pillar in the middle of a lava room.
That was my favorite part of
the whole time. Samus just blasted missiles right in his face, and then eventually he finally dies. And it took me probably 10 tries to beat this guy. He was ridiculous. And then that X parasite comes out and it just says, "F it, I ain't fighting Samus," and goes in the lava with him. It ain't having none of that shit. We were just giving Aaron some shit about bringing in bosses from updates from a game, but that's exactly what we're doing now with our number 4 entry, Valstrax the Elder Dragon. Valstrax is a mix between a dragon and a fighter jet. He's amazing. Crimson Glow Valstrax is his full name. I'll show him some respect. He flies up in the air. Sounds like a cartoon jet, with the like a firework almost. He's really cool. And normally when a flying monster runs, it's pretty fast. They're just out of there. But he's just literally stops, charges for a second, bam, and he's across the map in 0.5 seconds.
Yeah. You barely even see the dotted line of where he's going.
Valstrax is insane, and he has that one attack where he just dive bombs after flying around in the air for a while, and that legitimately one-shotted us at least once. Mm-hmm. And after that, our only solution was to get out of there. That's the only solution to that attack. It's just
we run in 3 directions. Yeah, he can't hit all of us.
He might hit one, but not all. So we just have to leave so he doesn't one-shot our whole party and destroy our mission. So Valstrax made it for that, and also for the rewards for fighting him, because you get ridiculously good and cool-looking armor and ridiculously good and cool-looking weapons for killing this thing a million times, getting all his gems and all his scales and all his sinews. That on top of the great fighter jet dragon fight, that is why Valstrax made it so high, because Capcom knows how to do a damn boss fight.
So if you watched our 2021 Games of the Year list, you probably are seeing some patterns here, and I'm going to try not to retread anything, but Fury Bowser from Bowser's Fury was an incredibly cool and suspenseful boss fight. The fact that they got a lot of suspense and adrenaline and fear inside of a Mario game where everything is literally a cat.
Oh yeah, that rain starts and you're just like, oh no.
You see Fury Bowser there constantly. They gave Bowser one of the biggest, cool, badass boosts he's gotten in years, because Bowser's always had varying sizes.
Yeah, you can change size.
But cool. Fury Bowser is now jet black, has fiery red eyes, and literally breathes more fire than usual, to the point where it's just a straight up beam. He's basically Godzilla.
He shoots a plasma beam across the screen.
Move over, Giga Bowser. This is the new scary Bowser.
Turn into a Super Saiyan cat and fight him. Capcom back at it again. There was only one monster that could have possibly beaten Valstrax. The universally most beloved BroTrio monster in Monster Hunter Rise was the title monster, Magnum Mallow. He was on the box art. He was on my special edition controller. He looks amazing. His armor's amazing and like a evil samurai looking thing.
Yeah.
And
his weapons are the most amazing.
They look so cool, and blast damage is one of my favorites, and that's where he's at. I was really hoping I could give Hellfire Blight, but that's Magnum Mallow exclusive, and I can't fault him for that, because blast is amazing anyway.
I was honestly excited. I was hoping that maybe we'd get a weapon that could leave the smoke trail and you could ignite it later or something.
That would be cool.
Part of the reason Magnum Mallow made it is because he's so aggressive that you're constantly on your toes. Even when you knock him down and he starts wriggling around like monsters do, most of the time he'll just roll over and get back up.
Yeah, he's a very bladed tiger, and he acts like a more aggressive tiger, because he will always go after you. He's got this really cool attack where it's not quite like Valstrax, but he'll just get pissed off, power up, and then he runs around you, like everyone, in a circle, like spreading his hellfire gas.
Yeah, he just
then it ignites, and then he jumps in the air, and then he comes down like a comet and blasts everyone.
And watching him fight other monsters, my God.
Oh,
he helps you in the final battle with Narwa and Girl Narwa. He comes in and helps with that final fight when you're fighting both of them, and he just... I can't stay mad at him, even though I had to fight him a million times for his friggin' gem or whatever. I can't be mad at him because he was so cool and he looked awesome and fought really. The fight was really cool. And I didn't mention this in Valstrax, but I really like cutting off monster tails, and his comes off pretty cool because it's just like the spike on the end of his.
Yeah.
And
it sticks in the ground like a badass. Like
sticks.
even his decapitated tail, the tailiated, whatever the term is still badass.
One of my favorite things in gaming is when the final boss of a game is actually the best boss of the game. Metroid Dread gave us Ravenbeak. Holy hell. Like
that's one of the best like Samus parallel fights we've ever had.
Oh yeah, because
Dark Samus is a cool parallel, but doesn't really fight like Samus. But Ravenbeak is a Chozo, so he's using all the Chozo shit.
I don't think there's ever been a boss fight that made you use everything you learned in the game like that since like the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh man.
Because like that was another pretty good like parallel boss fight that you had to fight a parallel of yourself. And this one did that very well, just like Metal Gear Solid 3 did. It was amazing. It was such a good boss fight.
Oh yeah, and it was a good lead up too, because you see him like first scene of the game, you're just like, I hate this guy. Like Samus hates this guy, and I hate him because she hates him.
Yeah,
and then like gradually as things go, you're just like, oh, he's such a jerk. Like, why is he doing all this to me? And then
he's so rude.
He's just like, hey, guess what? I'm your computer, and I've been tricking you into getting powerful because I'm gonna clone you and use you as my super soldier.
Yes.
And I'm also your dad.
Yeah, Army of Samus's old bird daddy.
And oh my god, that fight though, like that was one of the most hectic, fast-paced, and awesome fights I've had in a very long time.
It's 3 phases. It took me forever to get past the first phase, and then forever to get past the second and the third. And that could really just be a testament to all of Metroid Dread's boss fights, is they're never easy. Like, I don't think there was one time I one-shotted like a boss on the first attempt. Ravenbeak was no exception.
It shouldn't. I was fighting Ravenbeak for like 2 days.
It shouldn't be as much of a shock as it was that your avian adversary grew wings. But holy shit, this guy grew wings. Like, I'm sure he just had them, but he sprouted some friggin' wings.
And then he's airborne and has even more attacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that phase took me a long time to figure
even
out.
Harder to stop.
And then the one where he's shooting in a circle and you got a space jump around him.
That was so
great.
And then he's even more of a badass because then you have to counter him to basically move on from phase to phase. And then you bust up one of his wings and he's like, well, f*** this, I'm done. And rips it off.
Yeah, he does not like Sephiroth's style.
And then the third phase, he just starts shooting like little mini suns and black holes and shit. And it's just like, where are these power-ups for me? I want the black holes and stuff.
Why were you holding out on us, Ravenbeak? You should have gave us those too.
Yeah. I had already beaten him by the time I learned that you could just lay a power bomb and kill those little suns. Like, I was just like hopping around and storm missiling them.
It took me a minute to figure out, but once I did, the miniature sun looked cool, and that was all it could do.
Oh yeah, because I kept trying to do power bombs because I was like, this has to be a key thing because he gives you power bombs during the fight.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Like I could never pull them off.
The little black orbs too, power bombs.
Yeah, like I thought I was just missing the cue or something, but. Nope, that's the key to get past those suns.
Power bomb.
And then you beat him, and then he beats you.
Yep.
And he's like, he almost kills you. It's ridiculous that Samus even gets put in that situation.
And Samus evolves like a Pokemon and
just kills everything.
Grabs his helmet and smashes it. This helmet that like super missiles bounced off of.
Yeah.
It just absorbs all his life force because she evolved into a Metroid, like a Pokemon by this point.
Phenomenal final battle and such a great way to top off this list of the top 10 bosses of 2021.
So those are our top 10s. Please let us know any bosses we missed. Like, I know Resident Evil Village had some great bosses like that. I don't know if it's a boss, but that really weird screaming baby is hilarious.
Yeah, we haven't played it.
I'm sure the tall lady did something. It's on my list. I know there's other big bosses throughout the year that we didn't put on our list. So please let us know. We'll take that to heart and put those games on our wish list to play later. So please let us know that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Patreon if you'd like to further support the channel to ensure like we keep making more and more content. You can see our own personal list there. That's our Patreon reward.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see on this list just how skewed it can get when we all three have played the same games and fought the same bosses.
That's it for us. We'll catch y'all later. We're looking forward to 2022 now. No more looking back at 2021. It's all just Pokemon Arceus, Forbidden West, and Kirby Forgotten Lands, and whatever else the year may entail. And we are more than excited to see what happens.